So I saw this video of Prophet Lovy Elias, which is over 2 months old, but you know what they say, the internet never forgets, and so we can actually discuss about it now. In that clip, which I'm going to see very shortly, I try to understand why would a preacher actually give such a flimsy excuse for a failed marriage, because you could see shortly that in that video he suggested that God could actually rule the marriage of a preacher. I mean, that is the most absurd thing I've ever heard a preacher say. How can you as a prophet suggest that God will rule the marriage of a loving Christian couple? It is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Now let's go into the video, and then I will come back to give my own objection and my concern about that advice and about that reasoning. And it's quite funny to also see that the members that were present there were going along with that kind of teaching.
Do you know why pastors fail in marriage? Men of God's marriages die. I'm one of those people that went through that. I got divorced. I'll tell you why it happens. God has never told a man or a woman, go to your wife, go to your husband. You're spending too much time with me. Because also God lusts after you. He wants you for himself.
First of all, I don't really understand what it meant by this statement, because actually if you had to go by the scripture, the Bible was very clear that for this purpose, Jesus speaking said, for this purpose a man shall leave his father's house and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one. So what that means is that you as a preacher being in ministry, you are expected, both you and your wife are expected to offer God service in unity. So I actually don't understand what it means by spending too much time with the Lord, because if he's talking about spending time with the Lord as to service in ministry, I mean, if you are married to your spouse, it is expected that both of you becoming one will be in service to the Lord. So if spending much time here means spending time with the ministry, then both of the husband and wife are supposed to be in unity into service of ministry to God. All right. Then if he's talking about maybe spending time in study of the word, spending time in prayer, then you will need actually to check the scripture. Okay, because let's be very clear here. The Bible speaking, it says the husband are expected to love the wife. Going by Ephesians chapter 5, let's read that scripture in Ephesians chapter 5. It says, husband, love your wife just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So this is a commandment God is given. First of all, we must understand it was God that instituted marriage. Okay, so there is no way at all God can be architects of failed marriages. No, it's not possible. Husband and wife that have become one are supposed in unity to offer service unto God. Yes. So let's go ahead.
When he gave you a wife, he gave you a husband, he gave you a helpmate, but he's number one.
Exactly. That's true.
So when you start getting intimate with him, he doesn't want you to leave him. He won't tell you go and fix your relationship. It will be you to give him boundaries. If you don't give him boundaries, you will ruin your marriage. Because he will never tell you you're neglecting your wife. He won't say that. He won't say you're neglecting your husband.
And again, this is where he got it absolutely wrong. Now, I want to say this emphatically before we go into the video. Every failed marriage, and this is not to demean those who have actually gone into divorce, every failed marriage has nothing to do with God. Whether you are highly anointed or whatsoever the case may be, for every broken marriages, it is always, most cases are always a case of ignorance. Yes, the Bible speaking, it said, give no place to the devil. So when you give a place to the devil will take it. I want you to understand, I want to state this emphatically. Again, every broken marriage is not the will of God. And this is not to demean those who have actually gone through divorce, all right? But we must understand that it's either someone among the couples that are expected to become one has given a place to the devil. And when you give a place to the devil, either by allowing lust to go in, or by neglecting your husband, or by neglecting your wife, okay, neglecting your duties to your wife, it is a case of ignorance. And for every ignorance, people paid for being ignorant. I mean, I really don't understand which other way do you expect God to tell you what is expected of you to do as a couple that is married to become one. when it has been clearly stated in the scripture that husbands should love your wife, and wives are expected to honor their husbands and see the husband as the head of the family. So I don't really understand why you want to make that kind of explanation that God can rule marriage. No, God doesn't rule marriage. So for every broken marriage, I want to say for most broken marriages, it is because someone somewhere among the couples have given the place for the devil, and the devil will take it, either by ignorance or whichever way. Somehow, these two people that are expected to work as one. Now we must understand the concept of unity. When the two are joined together to be as one in service to God, when one gives room for devil to come in between them, the devil will take that space. So for every broken marriage, it's important for us to understand that someone somewhere has given the space for the devil to torment and to cause that marriage to break. It's never the will of God. God cannot institute marriage and even command man and say, for this purpose, a man shall leave his father and shall cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one in service to God, and now turn around to be the architect of broken marriage. No, God doesn't work that way. No, definitely, God will not allow you to violate any vow. As a matter of fact, the Bible speaking in James, he said, whosoever that knows what is right to do, and he failed not to do it, to him it is a sin. James 4 verse 17, it says, so whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is a sin. And talking about maturity, no one is expected to go into ministry or marriage without being mature. As a matter of fact, if you look at the scripture in 1 Timothy, where Paul wrote to Timothy of those who should go into ministry, he says such people should not be a novice. And one of the criteria he gave, that they should also be husband of one wife. So, of course, if you are a novice and you go into marriage in ministry, you are setting yourself up for destruction. So this has nothing to do with God. No. It's always the case of giving ground for the devil to take space. It's always a case of ignorance. It is not God. I mean, God has spelled it out clearly by the scripture. What an husband is expected to do is duty to his spouse. As a matter of fact, the Bible speaking, it says, a man that does not provide for his household is worse than an infidel. So providing for your household is not just only restricted to food, both spiritually, emotionally, and even your being intimate with your partner. Yes. So if you are talking about traveling around, so what is wrong with if you as a minister knows that your calling is about traveling around, what stops you from going about with your wife? I mean, is there in the scripture? We've also seen in scripture where Paul was talking about some apostles that goes about with their spouses. So what stops you as an itinerary minister from going about with your wife? I mean, it's always in the wisdom equation. It has nothing to do with God. Yet God has spelled it out. And yes, if God will inform you, God will definitely, if you are intimate enough with God, God will inform you of your failing marriage. Except somewhere, somehow, you fail to capture the signal when God is talking to you. God is not that wicked to say because he wants you for himself, he will not allow a marriage to suffer. That would make him a wicked God. So, I don't really want to agree with Prophet Lovy Elias giving this as an excuse why his marriage failed. No. If the ministers of God that have been in this kind of situation will be honest with you, you would discover somewhere, somehow, someone has given the space for the devil to torment. And the Bible is very clear, give no space to the devil. If you as a couple, if any member of the couple, any one of the couple give a space to the devil will definitely take it and he will seize it and cause a major damage. This is Ifeanyi with the Potter's Media. I want to know what you think concerning this video, right? Leave your thought and leave your encouragement on the comment section. Someone out there might want to hear what you have to say. Till then, bye bye.